better than ever. And I know right now that I'm going somewhere and I need some cheddar. Oh, baby, better not.
Hey everyone, it's Andre Luck here with another episode of the Sports Sales Show, where I'm going to talk about the CFO that's in our deals as it relates to ticket sales. So a lot of times we don't know they're behind the scenes, and a lot of times blocking the deal because they don't tell us and we don't meet with them. But going to talk through that. So excited to jump in today. Appreciate all the feedback I'm getting. A lot of people starting to tune in and share this. I'm getting messages of, hey, I came across your YouTube and saw the episode. Like, really great to see that starting to pick up, and I'm going to continue to be consistent with it and keep putting out more episodes. So excited for that. So let's talk through the CFO. So what is the CFO? Who is the CFO? They're the Chief Financial Officer. And so depending on the size of the company, maybe it's the CFO title or like a head of finance or VP of finance, but there's somebody who's in the business, at least if it's a well-run business, that's evaluating the investments you're making sure that what you're spending on and protecting the business and making sure it stays profitable. Like for us, that's Brittany, my wife. She's our CFO slash CEO slash a lot of administrative stuff. But for a more mature company, that's an important role that, the CEO makes sure they have someone who's willing to tell them no and push back a little bit. If there's board investors, they want somebody who they can trust, who's gonna, be mindful and resourceful with how the business is operated. So they're more involved than ever because more companies are focused on profitability, and with more data to really analyze what's working, what's not working. The CFO plays a crucial role in the go-to-market side of sales and marketing investments. And we don't realize that. Sometimes on the back end of our deal, we'll get, we don't have the budget for this year. The CFO makes the budget. They approve the budget with, a couple other people. But those are the people that we need to make sure we're arming our champion with, so they have that conversation and they can justify and defend the investment that they're looking to make with us in sports tickets. So again, the role of the CFO, number one, they got to increase revenue and make sure that whatever we're doing has a return. It's going to drive more revenue. Sometimes we're looking to cut cost or manage costs so that the company stays profitable. And just really de-risk the business and make sure that the health of the business from a cash flow perspective is there. So whatever investments we're looking to make, they're going to analyze that. They're going to ask questions and understand what's the ROI and what's the return from it. Like I said, they're just more involved. And it was always interesting to me. I was like, well, isn't the CEO the boss of the CFO? Can't they just tell them what to do? Again, if the CEO is smart, they're going to want somebody who isn't just a yes man, who's just going to be like, yes, we're just going to do it. But they're going to question, they're going to defend. At the end of the day, if they're like, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to do this, like they're the boss. But the CFO should, say, hey, let's analyze this, or no, we don't have the money to do that, and here's why. And there's a healthy back and forth dialogue. The other thing is the CFO typically has a really close relationship with the board and the investors. So if the CEO's being irresponsible, like they're going to come to that CFO and be like, hey, what's going on from a cash flow perspective, or like, where are we spending our money? And they're not necessarily narking on the CEO or telling, but like they're going to give an honest assessment. So that's kind of that checks and balance within a company, is that, finance team, the CFO, who's making sure that whatever the CEO or the executives are doing, there's a return from it, and they can defend that because they're making projections, forecasting, making a long range plan for the business. So in my career, coming up as a rep, I didn't really think about the CFO from a sales perspective, but I also didn't have much interaction until I got to the executive level. And, as I looked to make purchases, if it was over a certain threshold, like we had to get, approval and budget approval. Early on, it was like, yeah, we put the budget together, they take it, all right, good to go. But as we got more strategic as a business, I would start to get more questions, and like either someone from their team would come and, hey, can you answer these questions for me? Like, did we source other vendors? Like, is this the best rate that we can get? And like, at first I was annoyed. I was like, I just let me do it. Like, I'm in charge of sales. Like, I have a budget, just let me do it. But that's not going to cut it anymore. Just let me do it. And I respect and appreciate now the diligence that you go through, because sometimes the salespeople, like, we just want to move quick and we just want to just do something and move forward with it. But their job is to really challenge us and make us think through strategically. Or we don't have visibility to other budgets. So they may see what we're looking to do in sales, and when someone's looking to do in marketing, they're like, why don't we combine the two? And although we know, like, from our roles that they may not be a great fit, but like, is there ways that we can consolidate that or just think more strategically? Or, hey, like, we're gonna, a business objective, a company priority is this thing in marketing, so your thing in sales is going to have to wait. And those are things that we just wouldn't know because we're not always in those conversations. So I have a greater appreciation for the CFO, and those are things that we need to think about as salespeople. That, like, there's a lot of dynamics that go on behind the scenes, not everything that we can control, but we talk about this a lot in our training. It's a game of inches. So we want to do things that are going to give us a higher probability of the outcome that we want, or just move us a little bit further along, or get us more likely to get a yes or get further in the process than we would have if we didn't consider and build a case around the investment, the ROI for the CFO. So that's the number one thing. They're going to want to see a ROI, and a realistic ROI. If they see something that's like, this is a 50x ROI, we'll talk through like how to build that out and make it reasonable and make it realistic. But if they see it's like this crazy ROI, like, immediately you're going to can't, like, nope, this isn't realistic. And like, you've lost all trust there. So make your proposals, make your ROI cases conservative, something that's believable. And they could see like, all right, I could see us getting a 2x, 3x ROI on that. So where I see reps go wrong, one, yeah, unrealistic ROIs, if they even tell an ROI story. But it all starts with discovery. A lot of the objections you're going to get on the back end of a B2B sales conversation, we can get out in front of through the questions we ask. Through any deal I've lost came from I didn't, understand the dynamics from the discovery process. And we build into the proposal all the reasons to defend why this is any objections we're going to get. We're going to ask these questions discovery and put in our proposal what all the reasons that we should move forward, or any questions that may have. We're going to defend it all through the proposal. The other thing I see reps go wrong is like, we stay talking about tickets. If you talk tickets, you're going to get put into the nice to have pile. Here's our little budget for employee engagement, or our ticket budget. We want to be in the sales and marketing budget. There's millions of dollars in that budget, where there's thousands, or maybe tens of thousands in like our ticket budget. And I don't want to get put in there. So I was on a call. There's a client that I work with, and I'll do some business development with them. And we were talking through with the prospective client, and they had asked like, all right, so what package you got? And I was about to just start talking about that. And I'm like, one, I teach this, so like, let's take a step back. But I was like, hey, love to dive into that. Couple quick questions, and I could tailor something a little bit more based on what's a priority for you. So then I asked, 2-3 minutes of questions, and then I was able to prescribe something that was a better fit for their business versus me just like rattling off talking about tickets. I was on a call a couple months ago, with one of my clients, and we're now, they're pitching us. So we're meeting with the vendor, and as soon as they jump in, they pull up their deck slide, and they're just like, all right, our product has this, we have that. Like, I timed it. It went 10 minutes just talking about their product before they asked us one question. And I could see, the boss, the president, like in the other tile on the Teams call, or the Zoom call, and you could tell he's just tuning out, just, on his phone, texting, reading emails, just kind of like, all right, dude, like, get to it. And if we hadn't reached out to them, there's no chance we're going to move forward. If someone reached out to me outbound and like that's how they started it, like, you've lost me already. So a lot of times we are going outbound. So we need to make sure in discovery we're asking questions, and we're not just dumping a bunch of information on them. Because let's say that all we talked about was the features of our suite, of our seats. And like, that's all we arm our champion with to go to the CFO. Like, they're going to lose that if they even decide to bring that up. And that's where you get, we decided it's not in the budget this year. Um, so making sure that we're not talking tickets, we're at that executive level of conversation. And it may seem a little foreign if you're new to B2B sales, because a lot of B2C and even like inbound, like groups and stuff like that, we're talking tickets, what's your previous experience been like? What are you looking to create? All that type of stuff, which are good questions to ask at some point in the sales process. But in discovery, like, that's not what you're leading with. And so if you're talking about, their marketing objectives and expenses, and what they're spending on Google ads, and what the average return of a customer is to them, and like their conversion rates, like, it seems like, when am I going to talk about tickets? Like, but if you can stay at that level of conversation, you're going to, one, understand like what's going on in their business. You're going to be trusted and seen more as a business consultant who can help advise them, and they're going to trust you more. And then you're going to have just more budget to play with because they all can purchase our $5,000 to $15,000 pack. Even if you get into like the low six figures, they all have enough money and they spend more money than that on their sales and marketing investments. But if we're just talking tickets and features and amenities and not how are we going to help you acquire new customers and get you this much back through our program, or help you increase your client retention rate, or keep your employees happy so that your employee turnover is less, then we're going to have like the little budget that they're going to give us if they even consider it. So I talked about like building a proposal that really defends all the objections you have and like sets and arms your champion up to have this conversation internally. So in the proposal, we want to hit on, and it forces us to ask these questions to discover. We want to hit on what are the key objectives in the business for that person that we're talking to. And maybe if it's the CEO, like they have like the high level business objectives, but let's say we're talking to a head of sales or a head of marketing, like we want to understand like what's important to them. Two reasons. One, it's more personalized and tailored to them because that's really all they care about. Two, if you focus on like their objectives, you have another sales opportunity with someone else in marketing or finance or IT, because all of them can do something. A lot of times it's not the CEO bringing everyone together like here's our corporate ticket package for the entire organization. Sometimes it's just one department who's doing a couple suite nights, and then you could also get the marketing department to maybe do season tickets to bring new clients out. You have to make the case, and it's tough to like get everyone to align on a package unless it's a small business. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're talking to that person about the objectives that are important to them that tie to the overall business objectives. You want to map out a plan for how you're going to meet those objectives. You want to lay out an implementation plan on how to use the tickets. I've talked about this before. They get in a room and they're like, who's going to manage this? So if we have it all mapped out of here's how you're going to use the tickets for clients, here's how you're going to use it for this, and they can just take a plan and give to the person who's going to be managing the tickets, you have a much more likelihood that they're going to get behind this and they're going to want to take it to their CFO, their board, their CEO to get approval. We want to have an ROI story that's realistic. And we're going to go through a prompt here, and I'm going to show you a prompt I built out and like walk through it with you on how to build out an ROI story that you can put into your proposals, that you can then arm your champion with. And then obviously the investment. Why this is so important, most of our proposals are either just a couple lines in an email, the body of an email with, all right, I picked these seats, it's this price, it comes with these, let me know when you have a final decision. Which is, it's not great, it's not the worst, but at least, you've gotten to that point. There's cool tools out there like Sports Digita that has like the Digidag Channel 1. I was working with the client the other day, they use Channel 1. And it makes the presentation look cool, which is great because now it elevates your basic email or simple PowerPoint into like, a nice, attractive, like going to catch some of the attention and evoke that emotion. But if all it is like a cooler PowerPoint with pictures of the player, the mascot, the seats, the carving station, but there's no substance behind it, like as cool as the video is or like the presentation is and like the about us and this player is shooting a jumper in the background, like that's not going to be enough when your CFO is like, so why are we doing this? And you're like, oh no, like look at all this cool stuff. Like you want to give your champion, the CEO, the president, the head of sales, like a proposal they could walk in and when they get questioned, they'd be like, oh, in the proposal, this is how we're going to use it. Because they're not going to remember everything you all talk about in your meeting. So you want to make sure it's laid out in the proposal for them. So that's built in the ROI story and all that's put together. And you're meeting with your person and like walking through it with them because the sale isn't closed right there typically. They need to take this back to someone. And we'll ask the question, oh, I'd love to be in the meeting and like answer any questions that come up. They don't need you in the meeting to answer questions about how they're going to grow their business because whoever they're going to isn't counting on you to be able to defend why they're going to acquire new customers or how they're going to retain their customers. And they don't really have questions on, is about like certain amenities or things like that. That's once they've approved budget. Now you can work with your champion on like, is it the suite level club or is it the floor seats? Like that's where we can talk about those things and where we add value. But when we're in that conversation around like, do we want to move forward with this or not? How does this tie to our business objectives? You're more than likely not going to be in that conversation. And then a lot of times they're shielding you because you don't want to hear what's going to get talked about and hurt your feelings. So
that's nothing. I'ma be doing this and I'm gonna be head hunting. Oh baby, don't know. Oh baby, don't go. Oh baby, don't know. Oh baby, don't go.